Hey everybody, it's Kit here. God, it feels weird. It feels like it's a long time no see type situation, when in reality I really just took a week off-ish, week and a half. I don't know, time's just kind of blurred and things got hectic and I just kind of needed the time. Been struggling with taking care of myself and balance has always been an issue, so yeah. I decided, no, we're just gonna take the week and we're just going to enjoy Christmas, and that's what I did. I have been basically no-lifing Destiny 2 on my PS4. I've gotten back into it and it has been so great and fun and just nice. It's honestly been a really nice time to relax. I needed that. We haven't moved and all of our Christmas decorations were put up. And a lot of the traditions that we normally get to do, we didn't get to do this year. And honestly, I'm still upset about that. To think that today is December 26th of 2022 and that yesterday was Christmas, it really just didn't feel much like it. So, but, for what it was nice, it was great. But I just needed the time. So, thank you all for being understanding. But we are back. I am working on a crochet shawl that is it going to go to anybody? Probably not. My mom probably is going to get it, or I'm going to get it. It's a pattern that I've been wanting to try, and I bought some specific yarn for it, but I don't know if I'm going to be any good with it or not, so I'm using this yarn, and I'll just make it twice or 3 times or however many times. But yeah, that's what the little square is. But yeah, so snickerdoodles. Where was the here? Was it yeah, it was right here. Okay. I got rid of the here before, but anyway. So basically we are still in chapter 5, Trial of the Queen. Eli just handled twins that fought fisticuffs. She managed to break out of what appears to be a dream-esque spell by accessing a memory and, Dracula. And she really just wants her pizza, which I can't blame her, honestly. Yeah, I'd be like, I want out of this too. But anyway. So she just followed a blue light type spirit animal thing. And it went through a door, and she's opening the door. So that's where we are. I immediately ducked and leapt forward, coming up in a defensive position, and stared hard at the laughing moron on the other side of the table in the middle of the brightly lit room. He was laughing so hard his short golden hair was flopping over in his face, the little spirit animal struggling to cling to his moving shoulders. He had to wipe his eyes clear of his laughter, and I noticed they were the same color as the spirit animal. When he managed to collect himself, he had a genuine smile dancing on his lips. I crossed my arms and gritted my teeth as he did all of this. After everything I had just been through, the fool had the audacity to laugh at me. Oh, this was going to be fun. Wow, this was not what I was expecting when you walked through that door as a Laveau heir. Oh, but I am glad you did. You have worth so much more than the previously thought heir. The unexpected compliment had me blinking. He say what now? Was that a compliment? And you are friends with Dem? I am assuming, I said quickly at his dumbfounded expression, that you are some sort of family member or a close family friend. However, you are actually pretty friendly and nice. That doesn't equate to what I know about Dem. So, I'll believe that when the hell's freeze over. No offense, I said quickly again, but he seemed to take it like a joke when I was being dead serious. Fine. Dim? You mean Dimitri? You call him Dim? He choked and doubled over, laughing his butt off. I raised an eyebrow, unamused with the humor he was finding at my expense. I was actually very confused. I assumed that all of his friends called him Dim. He never said anything about it when we met all those years ago. Yeah, but You don't? Why? Dimitri sounds like a mouthful. I defended myself, starting to blush a bit. He sobered up quick enough to answer my serious questions. Dimitri never lets us call him that. Never lets anyone call him that. The last time some punk tried that name, he knocked his teeth out, and we were all 10 years old then. You're saying that he told you to call him Dim? He said with an awe-like look in his eyes. Then he whistled, long and slow. Dang, you must be something special. He did a fancy bow, but I didn't know what to say. I was too busy trying to decipher what it all meant before I simply gave up when my head began to throb. I rubbed my temples, grumbling. Okay, then. Well, righty-ho. Does this shindig have a time limit or something? Whatever this trial is, at least. Aren't we supposed to be at blows, or are you wasting my time? I did a half smile, actually genuinely liking this guy. He wasn't that bad, and I didn't want to hurt him. But I was sure I would have to. He frowned. 17-year-old me, why did we not do paragraph breaks? Oh, the pain. He frowned, as if remembering what we were all here for. Yeah, it does. You have until midnight to neutralize the threats, which you've gotten the twins, then there's me, 2 others, and Dimitri. Dimitri will be the last. It's about 10:16 p.m. right now. If you fail, then the walkers walk away. No pun intended. We won't be part of the coven this generation. We won't help in any of its endeavors. He frowned, showing his immense distaste with it all. I actually just wanted to talk with you. None of us knew you were the heir. We had done our homework on Madeline, knew how to defeat her, but you're an enigma. So we don't know what will work with you. I just wanted to talk to you, especially after Dimitri's fit when he saw you. He widened his eyes with a sheepish expression growing on his face, and I knew he wasn't supposed to say that. Oh, my phone went off. Who's my mom? Okay, give me just a second. My mom's a little sick today, and she needs a little bit of help with something, so I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Okay. Right here. Okay. Well, alrighty then. May the best man win. And also, sorry, I added, before slamming the table into his midriff. He hadn't been expecting it, but with the spirit animal, I was guessing he was more of a magic guy. I was right. He made a big oof sound as he was slammed into the wall, his eyes spinning wildly around in a daze. I focused on the now angry animal, the cute sounds it had been making getting darker, louder, and angrier. Just wonderful. It grew on me, from the adorable kitten to a ferocious leopard, and charged rapidly. I barely dodged before it spun on a dime and kept running at me, swiping this way and that. It got lucky quite a few times, nicking my skin here and there with one particularly painful cut through my jeans to my calf, but I was mostly intact. I had my hands full trying to figure out how to dodge all of its massive attacks and how to make it go away when I saw a painting on the other side of the room, over the wreckage of the table and the guy's groaning body. In it was a prairie with open fields and grass. Perfect. I waited for the kitty to take another leap, this time sliding under it with barely inches to spare, and ran for the painting, my fingers outstretched. I just had to touch it. Yes! Memories and images flooded through me, and I snatched onto the first one, channeling it within a split second into my free palm. When the kitty crashed into me, I channeled my power and sent it packing. The cat snarled and cried, writhing in anger, but then it full out ran into the prairie, joyous and happy. I let go of the memory, the channel, and the painting, panting heavily. I eyed my handiwork with a small smile. There, a small speck of color amidst the tan landscape, was a big silvery blue cat running free in its own jungle. I bet the artist had a heart attack when she painted this. I heard slow, staggered clapping from behind me, and a rustling sound. Good job. Not many people have been in your position and won against my spirit animals, by containment nonetheless. I grinned slightly, turning around to see him bloodied and bruised, struggling to stand from the wreckage of the table, a big body-shaped dent in the wall behind him. Thank you. How very thoughtful, I curtsied, laughing. I walked over, grabbed his arm, and helped him stand, noting how I put all of his weight on his right foot. I helped him over to a chair and set him gently in it. He waved me on. What? No more tricks in your imaginary hat? I said incredulously. I was kind of surprised he was letting me off this easy, but he grinned and nodded. Oh, I've got plenty, but I like you. You didn't go for the throat. You did a fancy bit of footwork, and you're smart about it. Not showing all your cards. I like that. You also didn't kill a creature, even if it was trying to kill you. And the painting looks better anyway, he pointed out, admiring it from his perch. He waved his hand and an archway appeared. Now go on, find the others. You have 2.5 hours left, but I think you can manage. Nice to meet you. He trailed off, curiosity in his eyes. Smiling slightly, I obliged. Eli, I'll get your name after, yeah? Don't go putting pressure on that leg. Looks like you broke it. I called over my shoulder, already racing away. Noise, noise, clatter, clatter. Draw them to me before they can get smart and make something that might be a tad difficult to get out of. That kid said there were 2 left, then Dim. I had a feeling Dim would be last, so 2 it is. She had this feeling since the beginning, but that's just not written very well. I am not a great writer, thank you very much. When the scream started up again, I jumped slightly but kept going, making more noise now. Okay. Confused. All I needed was for one of the 3 to be an idiot. Just one. That was all I needed. I kept praying over and over in my head. I kept jogging ahead, getting irritated now. Can these blasted hallways get any longer, you morons? I shouted, practically snarling. What I wasn't expecting was to be hit in the back of the head, hard enough to daze me. Why, yes, but are you sure this isn't all in your head? A voice that was dripping in venom-sweet honey graced my ringing ears, and I groaned rather unattractively. Of course, it was probably the pain that had me opening my mouth again. Oh, you son of a... I couldn't finish the thought. My head hurt too dang much. Also, I have to warn, this is where the hormones and the pretty boy phase of 17-year-old me. Oh, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought this was a good idea. I don't know why, other than I was 17 years old and an idiot. Oh no. I don't even want to read it. I don't even want to read it. I'm so sorry. I actually don't want to read it. I don't even want to look at this screen. God dang it. I struggled to see the mountain dragging me by my wrists with my 360-degree vision. What? What did he hit me with? Goodness gracious, I was going to be hurt for a while with this lump. Oh, when I find Dimitri Walker, he's going to be so dang sorry. As will Narcissistic Man and Carolyn and all the rest of them. I so did not sign up for this crap, and it is not worth whatever the price is at the end. It most certainly is not. Uh-huh. Keep telling yourself that, bunny. I forgot about that. Bunny? Bunny. Oh, please tell me I just imagined that. Because if not, I swear I will fillet you like a fish once the study goes away. I swear on time. My head was pounding, and it didn't help any that this granite was super hard and I kept bumping my head on it. Mountain didn't look any better when my vision cleared. He still looked every bit like a walking, talking mountain of dirt and rock from my vantage point being dragged on the floor. I sure did. What are you going to do about it, Bunny? I got you red-handed. You're not so bad. I don't know how you beat the others. Maybe they went soft on you. You're no different than that other chick. Fell for the same trap I set for her, too. I was starting to get pissed now. Not only did he just compare me to my half-sister, but was it really that hard to pick me up? I growled at him and began to squirm and struggle, hating how I felt like a helpless worm on a fishing reel, ready to be baked. Sexy growl. You sure you're not a kitty cat instead of a little bunny? What the hell was wrong with me? I gotta find my notes. I don't need to find my notes. I need to find my notes after we finish reading this, because I don't remember this guy at all. I remember the twins. I remember the other guy. I remember Dimitri. I don't remember this guy. Then again, it was 8 long years ago. Oh God, 8 long years. Oh my gosh. My anger spiked again, only this time I let it grow. Say that one more time and I will hurt you more than you will ever know. And could you please stop dragging me? This freaking marble hurts, I complained, wincing at my throbbing butt. In response, he simply huffed and shook me around more like a complete douche. I snarled at him, seeing red and envisioning a swift punishment for him. He had my wrists immobile, but not the rest of me. I spied a torch behind us, and I concentrated on it. Unlike when I was 13, this simple parlor trick took mere seconds, and the torch instantly appearing above my leg silently. I took a deep breath and used my core muscles to lift my feet and grab the torch with my sneakers. Okay, yeah, so he's dragging her by the wrists. Walking Mountain slowed down, feeling my body my shift in body weight before slowly turning around. I was ready, using all my core muscles to shove the fiery torch into his chest, making him scream with pain as he caught on fire. Also, can we just talk about the muscles this dang girl has? Because, ow, my core muscles are screaming right now under the layers of fat I have. Making him scream in pain as he caught on fire. He immediately let go of my sore wrists to run away, presumably to get help or water. His screams got louder as he got burnt more and more. I let the torch clatter as I surged from my feet, chasing after him. He led me to another long hallway that left me thankful that I was an avid runner, and then to some sort of outside garden. Avid runner. That's a hell I'm never gonna be. I was so turned around, I had no idea where I was anymore, if I would ever see my leather jacket again. Remember, she took it off. At this point, I just wanted to leave and never come back. Walking Mountain did a big, painful-looking belly flop into a crystal-clear pond. He was sobbing in pain when he came up, which made me wince in my angered state, which was not pretty. I didn't dare look at him for fear of throwing up or getting ganged up on. Take your pick. Maybe I got rid of the part? Okay, we'll keep reading, and if not, then I will explain to my own detriment what I said. I hope I got rid of it, because I did edit this a long time ago, like immediately after writing it. Like, I took a little bit of a break, a few month break, and then I came back. Yeah. I looked around, narrowing my eyes at all the foliage. Lots of hiding spots. That equaled bad news for me. I sighed and ripped a random bamboo stalk off its roots. Why was there a bamboo stalk in a Louisiana swamp? No idea. The walkers were just weird, and I had had just about enough of them. I would have had enough of them after the first fight. After the conversation with Narcus, I would have had enough of them. I wielded it expertly and began my walk amongst the plants and shrubs, waiting for something to come bite me like the mosquitoes were doing. I had to keep swatting them and cursed as I did so. Because I am getting sick of being hunted, I'm just going to talk to you like we were having a conversation. Okay? You can tell she's very much done. Silence answered me. I just nodded and kept going. Bored, I continued to talk and whack plants out of my way, leaving a wreckage of green in my wake. Whoever's garden this was would be so angry with me later. But I didn't plan on sticking around for it. Yeah, let's not whack plants. Although I did have fun with that as a child. Now as a botanist major, can we not? So, I'm Eli. I have no allergies. Thank goodness, because I'm sure that with all this foliage would have me sneezing uncontrollably. And I am turning 17, and I paused and did the quick calculation in my head. Less than 2 hours, probably by now, I found, thinking back. I remembered my father and I talking about what I wanted to do when I was 17 and where we would go for my birthday. He promised that we'd take me to New Orleans, we would go play laser tag, then eat junk food, and have a Big Bang Theory marathon and play video games all night. I told the guy all of this, tears starting to spill down my cheeks. I kept whacking plants and talking about my dad and my childhood. I missed it so much it hurt. While I was talking, the wind picked up, the breeze tickling the back of my exposed neck. The atmosphere changed from creepy and dangerous to sad but encouraging, if that made any sense. The eyes that I felt on the back of my head softened in their deadly gaze, and I had the feeling my rambling and pity party gained some sort of brownie points. Dad also said to use any advantage in my arsenal. I sighed, feeling the pity party that had been brewing for a while end. Right. Enough about me. Shall you speak, or shall we just crack on? I swear I have destroyed most of the plants in this garden, and someone is going to be angry with me. I just don't want to be here when that happens. I turned around, eyeing the remaining plants. Too late, Eli. A very attractive voice spoke up behind me, causing me to whip around. Where there had been a tree sapling, there was yet another guy who had brown hair and dark brown eyes that reminded me of tree bark. His skin had a tinge of green, but it was kind of cute in its own way. The name's Clover, by the way. Why am I not surprised? Clover, huh? Suits you. What are you, a plant shifter or something? Or do you just have an uncanny relationship with the earth? Or are you a chameleon? I questioned, stepping closer. Okay, no. Okay, no, we're good. Yeah. A bit of all three, really. He had a Scottish twang to his accent, which was undeniably attractive. Yeah, Scottish accents are great. He stepped into a rhythm with me, both of us circling each other. I was armed with the battered bamboo stick. He was armed with every plant in this garden. Why me? I demanded to myself over and over again. The disadvantages were stacking against me, and what did I have? My traveling I wanted to keep a secret. The other thing I wasn't even going to touch with a 40-foot pole, and I had a feeling Clover wouldn't let me get close enough to whack him, or worse. We continued circling, occasionally faking a move here and there, waiting for the other to make the first move. I generally called myself a patient person, but Clover had the patience of Mother Nature, which beat mine out many times over. I leapt forward, going for a fancy twirling move to sweep his ankles out from under him and leave him with bruised shins, but he jumped over it, higher than most people could. I followed up with a series of offensive maneuvers that left me frustrated when they didn't connect. Clover, to his merit, didn't smirk or brag like the typical male, just focused 100% on the fight, dodging with brutal efficiency. At the end of it, I was left blinking and breathing hard, adrenaline racing through my veins. Clover gave me a moment, nodded, and with a grin began his brutal assault. It took everything within me not to get hit by those quick punches, karate kicks, and the vines in the shrubbery he had summoned. Both of us went on like that, me using no magic, and Clover scratching me every which way with his bark-like nails and sharp vines. I finally jumped back, grumbling to myself and disengaging from the fight. I had to think of a better way. I knew he wouldn't be stupid enough to be led out of his battleground. I had the disadvantage of time stacked against me, and how exactly did you kill a plant without fire anyway? So I did the honorable thing. I turned tail and ran, whacking every plant on the way. Clover ran after me, but wasn't on top of me like I expected. I turned a corner, flattening a flower as I did so, and risked a look behind me. Did Clover look pale? He was slowing down, and an idea sprouted in my head, pun intended. What if it was me hurting the plants that was slowing him down? I grabbed my bracelet, which I sort of forgot it was there, to be honest. That was actually writer error. I've been thinking about that this entire chapter. This entire chapter needs to be fixed, bad, so bad. It's awful. And I thought about the sword I had used before, and it appeared in my hands. I ran and started hacking at every plant around me. Greenery was shredded before Clover's very eyes, and he cried out, grabbing frantically at his chest. I continued doing it until he was kneeling on the ground, tears coming out of his eyes. My heart squeezed in sympathy, but I knew that he was in my way to victory. Sometimes you had to make the hard decisions to win. I slowly approached him, the bamboo stalk heavy in my hands. This was a mistake, though, because he exploded in a fury of green and brown. Quite literally. I was covered from head to toe in dirt, green stalks, and green liquid I could have sworn was his blood. Clover attacked, and I was quickly swallowing dirt and green, getting chopped into little pieces by the plants I had just killed. Karma was a bitch, yeah. I tried yelling, breathing, anything. I couldn't move. Dirt got shoved up my nose, and the vines just went down my throat, choking me. My eyesight was fading. You think it's funny. Just a silly plant, right? Chop it down? I would happily switch in anyone's shoes at this moment, because I will never look at a plant the same way again. Not after it almost took my life. I almost gave up too, but then I felt my wrist snap under the pressure of the vines, and the pain woke me up. It seared through the haze of my mind, the toxins that I didn't know had been slowly going through my bloodstream since my first fight with Clover. The little jerk face! I grabbed at the bracelet one more time, going for a special artifact that used a special element perfect for times like this. Fire. It was a simple wolf's tooth, fashioned on an old leather necklace. A simple souvenir of its time, it once housed as a permanent fixture on an arsonist's neck, whose name was unknown. Now he was dead, and the necklace had found itself in our vault. The tooth had been on the evil arsonist's neck for so long that it had gained his love for fire, and his evil nature had allowed it to gain the element of what he loved the most, fire. I was wearing it now, and the cold I had felt before was gone. Instead, there was a lingering warmth surrounding me, coating me and protecting me. Artifacts such as these had no benevolence or malevolence of any kind. They simply just were. They could be used by anyone and at mostly any time, such as now. Clover had stopped his leafy assault and frowned at me, noticing the wolf's tooth nestled at the base of my neck, and he must have noticed a slight change in the cool, humid climate, because his eyes narrowed and he inhaled, cautiously. His eyes widened, and like a fool, he began to run towards the pond, where Walking Mountain was still soaking in water. I grinned and thrust the sword out in front of me, feeling satisfaction when a pillar of flame shot out from the end, racing with fiery fury to Clover's back. Clover was growing a bark-like shield on his back, but plants were never any kind of defense for the fire. He managed to reach the pond just as the fire exploded in waves of heat and searing pain, sending him hurtling into the pond on top of Walking Mountain with a big splash and a sickening crunching sound as the two bodies met. Nothing but waves and whimpers could be heard after that, and I walked slowly to the lingering flames that were flickering near the shore of the pond. I fingered the necklace, and the fire whispered to me, enticing me to use it, to rule the world. I frowned and scoffed, and made the flames go out. I whistled slowly at the wreckage of the garden as I walked back inside the mansion, remembering how pretty it had been when I first came rushing out here. The sword and the necklace slowly melted away, back to where they came from inside the small orb charms of the powerful bracelet. Only Dim left, and this night would be over, hopefully. I did have work tomorrow, I thought wryly, eyeing a grandfather clock that said I had about 20 minutes before midnight. I wasn't too worried, though. I knew that Dim would be asleep, and unless the adults wanted to play and interfere, he would be my only obstacle. I just hoped that our encounter in the clearing meant as much to him as it did to me. My feet carried me to the end of the hallway, to a big set of marble doors that I hadn't noticed before, or perhaps that weren't there prior to now. I admired them for a moment, craning my head to look up at their imposing figure and then pushed them open. I entered a big antechamber of some sort, like a council room, with tables lined around the outer edge of the floor, spaced between dark pillars of ghostly green marble. People, families, were seated there, many of whom I didn't recognize, but instinctively knew they must be walkers. They all had the same hard-set look on them and Dim's thundery eyes. I noticed Carolyn and the rest, standing awkwardly in the corner, eyes set on me like the rest. The air was thick with tension and magic, but shock was the primary emotion for the moment. My poker face was back on, my eyes set on the crouching figure in the center of a ritual circle, or in the middle of a ritual circle, in the center of the room, with the full moon shining directly on him through an open window from the high ceiling. The light it provided was bright, and was the only source of light in this room. No one said anything, and the only sounds heard was, I need air. Sorry. We're getting through this. We're almost done with this chapter. No one said anything. The only sounds heard was of the Louisiana swamp and my resounding footsteps on the stone floors as I walked down the short the two short steps of this to the center of the room into Dim. Oh, I can't read. I can't English. I can't do nothing. He was in some sort of meditative trance, and the magic clung to him like a second skin. It was all rather fascinating to watch as those little tendrils of silvery dark sand attached itself in strands to his clothes and skin, always shifting, always seeking something. I quietly kneeled by him, aware of all of the eyes watching us intently, and I extended my left arm in the moonlight. My skin looked oddly pale, not its usual tan, and the two pinprick marks were prevalent on my young skin. I touched them with 2 fingers from my right hand, swallowing as I did so, and I felt the memory that would always be there, grasping it within my mind, and I imagined holding it in my hand. When I looked at my hand, I could see it, a small, silvery orb with images flickering. I ignored the confused looks of the spectators, trying to see what they clearly couldn't in my open palm. I almost felt like showing it to them, but decided not. It wasn't theirs to see. I took the memory in my right hand and went under his loose black t-shirt, which was terribly cliche, and swallowed as I felt the hard ridges of a smooth six-pack. I kept going upward until I reached his heart. I placed my hand, rather hesitantly, on his skin there, resting it against his heartbeat, and waited for a reaction. I hoped it would work, because then it would mean that Dim had been marked 2 on that day. Emotionally, at the very least. But it was all I needed. The world fell away, and I found myself kneeling in the same clearing as before. And only a few feet away from me, directly under the sunlight, was 13-year-old Dim, complimenting 13-year-old Eli's eyes. I slowly stood up and turned around. There was Dim, and a surprised look graced his handsome features. I grinned slowly up at him. He had gotten so tall. "Weren't expecting that, were ya, Peeping Tom?" I laughed at his frustrated look. "How did you even get me out of your head and keep me out? No one's done that before," he growled at me, thunder clashing in his eyes as he intensely looked into mine. I smirked. "Well, since you asked so nicely to get in my head in the first place, I guess I just won't tell you," I said brightly, relishing the angered look that came onto his face. What I did not like was the flash of hurt in his eyes, which I caught. "Hey, don't look at me like that. I didn't ask for any of this. Hell, I didn't even know I was their so-called heir until last night. I didn't want it. I still don't want it, but I don't have a choice, so do not look at me like that." I glared at him, all pretense of playfulness gone. He sighed heavily and turned in circles, running his hands through his jet black hair. "How could you even be one of them?" he said in disgust, his lip curling. I looked at him in confusion. Sorry. Explain who they are?" I put my hands on my hips. I was so getting answers out of him because we probably wouldn't have another moment such as this for a while, if ever. Although fate was fickle, it seemed to have a love for drama because it had brought Dim back into my life, only this time for real. Screw you, fate. It was ironic that the place we met the first time and the place we had a crush on each other was the first place, years later, where we would have our first real conversation and argument. Cruel irony. He gave me a droll look. "The Laveaus. Of which you are a Laveau? What, is Trevor your dad? The asshole. Rich, snobby, preppy, just like the rest of them. I bet this," he waved his hand around agitatedly, "was all just an act. I bet you knew who I was the minute you found me here, somehow broke in to spy. You're nothing but a fraud, and so is your family." I interrupted him with the biggest slap I had ever allowed to grace someone else's face. His head whipped to the side, and a big red handprint was on his cheek. My palm was throbbing, and I was heaving in anger. "You know nothing about me, so don't go all high and mighty thinking you know everything. You know nothing. And don't ever insult my father again. Got it?" I said low and angry, punctuating each word. My hands were tightly clenched in fists of rage, and I was shaking with the effort of reining in all of the ugly feelings and the even bigger magical punch I wanted to deliver so badly. I took deep breaths, closing my eyes and not even caring that Dim was watching as I almost blew a gasket. The nerve of him. I opened my eyes again, which were probably blazing with colored anger, and said calmly, "Trevor isn't my father. Ariana is my mother, though I use that term loosely. Don't call them my family again, because they aren't." I said it shortly, giving him the evil eye Eileen had helped me perfect, which shut his open mouth quick. I took another few moments to calm down, before grabbing his hand. "We're done talking. We're done with this bullcrap of a trial thing, and if you even say that we know each other, I swear to Father Time that I will end you, and you will never be heard of again. Do you understand me?" I gazed intensely at him. He nodded before having the final word. "If you say you know me from before this trial, you won't live to see the weekend," he responded tersely. I nodded, both of us acknowledging the other's threat. I began to pull us out of our memory, and just for a moment our minds connected. It was very confusing, a mirage of colors, all spinning me around and around until they stilled, just for a moment. I was standing on a sidewalk in a nice neighborhood. Wealthy suburban houses lined the streets, and manicured lawns all but glared at my messy appearance. The house in front of me was a magnificent piece of architecture, with 2 magnolia trees in bloom on each side of the concrete path leading to the front door. A sold sign was near the mailbox, and the real estate agency was in New York. That was all I saw before I got sucked up again, this time spinning back to where I had been kneeling this entire time. it had just happened in our heads. Dim opened his eyes and raised his head. "I submit," he said, loud and clear, just before the clock struck midnight. I had won. Oh boy, that was a long chapter. That was a very messy, long chapter. It needs so much cleaning up. That is just embarrassing. Ugh. I mean, I suppose there's good foundation there. I'm also grateful that I got rid of the really embarrassing part. So, like, basically at the walking mountain bit, before the thing I was so embarrassed about, basically she thought he was hot and just was saying that, and it was so cringe. It was so bad. Like, "Oh, you're sexy." Like, hell no. So I'm glad I got rid of that. Honestly, I'm thinking I'm gonna replace the walking mountain with something else, because I just wasn't feeling it. Everything else I was fairly feeling alright with. Walking mountain just was not it. Another thing I was thinking of was she needs to use the bracelet more. I think I'm gonna change up just the trial itself as well a little bit. Maybe definitely break this up into a few different chapters. And maybe a series of smaller chapters, like each quote unquote challenge or obstacle has its own little section, maybe. I don't know. And another thing was that she broke her wrist, but I did not see any pain responses in that. So, anyone who's sitting here like, "Oh my god, you're an amazing writer," I'm not. I'm so bad. That is stupid of me. But yeah, so that is essentially that's that. She wins. She's pissed. I'm being called. Whoops. Yeah. That was like almost 40 minutes. Sorry. But yeah, so a very messy chapter. Kudos to anyone who's still here listening to this. Yeah. But it is helping for me to read this and everything else. Yeah. I really want 2023 to be the year that I do more things for me on this channel, and writing is one of them. I miss it badly. I wrote 13 pages of a portion of the story A Witch's Debt, which is my current work in progress, and I haven't really shared it here actually on the channel. I've shared it a bit over on Twitter, and I've done basically, I cannot believe I'm about to go here, but I kind of got coerced into making a Patreon a while ago. I make everything free because it's like I do this for free, you know? Like, I don't want to. The coffee thing's hard enough. Like, at least they're giving me money for a product, but like, but I basically got forced into making it. But hey, I can control a lot over there, so, but I haven't really done a lot. I was keeping up with it because I was told to, but then, like, I stopped, and it's like, hey, nobody's putting a gun to my head, basically. But I do like it in the sense of I can share, like, more writing things and stuff. So sometimes what I've made 2 videos on it so far, but I just have basically, like, quote unquote Patreon exclusive videos that are essentially this minus the crochet, and I just read whatever I was working on. So I had like a D&D thing that I was super duper proud of, and I didn't get to share with anybody. Curses of being a DM is you don't get to play, and you don't really get to share stuff that's happening behind the scenes, so that's fun. And then I shared a bit of A Witch's Debt, but I don't know, I just want to do more of this sort of thing on the channel. I also really want to do, like, more crocheting and stuff, too. This is, like, the only thing besides the occasional stream. It's like, I feel weird and awkward for doing things that make me happy on my channel, and I don't know why. I don't know why. So it's... because it's all a balance, right? It's like, how much effort do you put in versus how much you get out? Obviously, I don't make any money from this. Nor is it about that. But it's also... there's a point where it's like... all this effort into sharing it, and, like, if nobody looks at it, is it worth the time? You know, are you getting that much happiness out of it? You know what I mean? So it's all of that, I think, which is what makes it awkward. But it's like, this is something I really would like to do, because even though I'm not a good writer and everything else, I really would like to get A Witch is Dead to the point where I could possibly consider publishing it, which is a terrifying thought. And, you know, even this, like, just publishing. And I just think it would be kind of cool to have that thought, like, to have almost like a vlog type thing like this, or something else where it's like, I can talk about it, you know, as a writer, you know, as the author and all of that. I don't know. It might also just be a stupid idea, but it's just things I'm throwing around at this point. I just want to do more things for me in 2023, which is something I massively struggle with. So, yeah. Anyway. That being said, that was Trial of the Queen. Eli is pissed. It's all going downhill from here. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as much of a cluster cluck. Cluster cluck. That was a messy chapter. It was bad. I'm so sorry. Now I'm hoping nobody gets to this point. Okay. I hope you guys have a fantastic Tuesday. I will see you all in another part, maybe in another video. I don't know. If not, if this is the last you hear of my voice, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful journey. Bye.